Today's Wednesday, August 8th, 2018.
You're tuned in to the Elevator Radio Show, a weekly program dedicated to covering news and information on elevators, escalators, and moving walkways. Produced in the wee hours of the morning, a new show is uploaded every Wednesday, sometimes even before you get out of bed. Listen to some of the comments sent in from our audience.
Rob from New York writes, Tom, are you f***ing insane? You actually get up at 2 a.m. each Wednesday to put this show out? Man, you must love elevators. Tim from Illinois writes, I'm not sure why I listened, but ever since I tuned into the first show back in 2007, I've been addicted. Matt in Texas writes, I like your safety messages, Tom. It's important to remember them each and every day. And he also adds, when am I going to win the monthly prize pack giveaway? Ron from California sent this in. Despite your inability to pronounce words in the English language, I tune in each week and am glad that you offer this service to the industry. It's better than Google News alerts. Sarah from Washington writes, love the show, Tom, and look forward to it each week. I'm glad I signed up for the newsletter. You provide a valuable resource for the industry, not only for North America, but worldwide.
Enjoy the show. And now, here's your sleep-deprived host, Tom Seibert.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whenever you are listening to the program, welcome to the Elevator Radio Show. This is a weekly audio, video podcast I put together every Wednesday morning when I'm able to keep my eyelids open and I don't have a ton of stuff to do. But for the most part, it's every Wednesday. And I haven't missed too many shows, although this summer has been a little bit hectic, which has caused me to postpone some of those last month. But in any case, we're back on schedule. We're back on track, gearing up for some traveling, some shows that are coming up. Looking forward to seeing many of you out there who listen to the program as always. And hopefully you are enjoying your summer with either a vacation, some time with family, or if you have kids in school or high school, I'm sure you're kind of gearing up to get those kiddies back to where they probably need to be. And which just means that the summer is getting closer to being over, unfortunately, which is a little sad. It's always sad to me to see that go because it seems to be just such a short season. So anyway, hope everybody's well. Good to be back, and we got a good show for you today. I was thinking about coming up with a segment on the program, and where I share some emails that I think that are just somewhat, how should I say it? Just kind of makes you go, what? Really? And I think I'm going to bring that to the show next week because I seem to receive quite a few of those, or enough to where I believe I could make them anonymous enough to where nobody would feel like, hey, you're singling me out. I didn't give you permission to share what I wrote, blah, 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 blah. So I'm going to do that next week because I've been doing this long enough, and I got enough crazy people sending me emails that I think it's probably time to share those in a format where everybody can just listen to them. So I'll start doing that next week, and maybe we'll do that at the end of the show. Yeah, that's about it. So got a good show for you today. We'll get into the content next. As always, if you have a question, comment, email, blah, blah, all that good stuff, send it to elevatorradioshow@gmail.com, or feel free to leave a post on the Facebook page, which I know not everybody does, which is fine. Way too many pieces of media and areas to try to keep track of. I get it. Don't worry about it. Website, elevatorradioshow.com, if you're listening to the podcast on iTunes or watching it through YouTube or picking up some other way. Make sure you get signed up and get a notification when new posts have been and shows have been posted. So we'll get into the news next, if I can find the news button, and have you out here in no time.
Let this week's news stories give you a lift on what's happening in the vertical transportation arena. Each news segment is organically dug and fresh with news stories of the week. Got lift? If not, stay tuned.
It's definitely a coffee morning, and I made the mistake yesterday of getting creamer that was unsweetened, and now it's like, whoa, it's real coffee. I'm not quite grown up enough to enjoy a cup of coffee black, like grown-ups are supposed to drink it, but maybe someday I'll drink it black. We'll see. Okay, first news article of the show. ThyssenKrupp to build $200 million headquarters and test tower. It's kind of exciting news. It's got there's an image here what it's going to look like. Looks like a beautiful building. This is going to happen in Georgia. So in Cobb, Georgia, it looks as if. But cool image here, and it'll be exciting to see that building once it's up and running. Give some interesting statistics about ThyssenKrupp and what they do and how many employees they have, and so pretty cool. It's nice to see that they are investing and expanding into, not expanding, but making an even more dominant mark in the elevator space. So it's pretty cool. I love these kind of buildings and stuff with glass, and it's just pretty neat. Looks like it might be the tallest building in the area as well. Okay, the NASA Elevator Symposium, Wisconsin Elevator Symposium is fast approaching. September 13th to the 14th, 2018. I will be there. I'm looking forward to that. Last year was my first time attending, and I was only there for, I think, 1 day, but had a great time. A lot of fun. Great people, great venue, great presenters. So if you are in need of your QEI credits, if you're in Wisconsin or wherever, you just need them, make sure you get them in so you're not waiting till the last minute. This is a good opportunity to do that. Next article, 5 people rescued from a stalled elevator at the Metro. Fox 5 reported on this actually a week ago or before a week ago. This was actually going to be on last week's show. And again, thanks for everybody understanding and me not putting the show out. I literally came in, started putting all the notes together, and then I realized I just had too much to get through after being out of the office Monday, Tuesday. So, and it just was fine. So anyway, everybody's okay, thank goodness. And not anything that was major. And just as a note, it seems like we see more, oh, come on. We see more elevator shutdowns when it's really hot. Heat does not, equipment does not like heat necessarily. So there are some hot machine rooms out there. And I've not seen my share, but I've been shared many. There was one that literally the plastic was melting from the wires. It was so hot, and that was in the Middle East, but still it was hot, so heat definitely affects equipment, elevator equipment in a variety of ways, brakes, all sorts of stuff. So make sure your customers kind of have an idea or understand this when you are, when elevators go down, in terms of why their equipment is not working is probably as optimal as they would think. So anyway, Capitol Elevator construction is almost. West Dakota Fox News has a report, and this is pretty cool. I wish that there was more old with the new, but it looks like there's more new with the old, as the Capitol Elevator in Bismarck, North Dakota has what looks like a destination dispatch system that was installed. So you can read more about that. Link is in the show notes. And I think that's exactly what it was. It looks like they have some architectural details, like the doors, that look to be perhaps original or something similar to that, and even the car here lanterns that are at the top. So maybe there's a happy medium between the two. I'm not sure necessarily what the cost savings or benefits are to destination dispatch, but it's pretty cool technology, to say the least. Historic Patty house accessible to all with elevator, which is always good. Nice to see older buildings getting elevators so that they can actually serve the general riding public, and in those buildings making investments in their buildings to ensure that the general riding public in general, I'm sort of redundant there, I apologize, are able to access those buildings, where most of the time you'll see just it being grandfathered or rolled into whatever code was at the time in effect. But this is good news. 9 injured in mine accident. WWNY-TV has an article. This apparently happened at Empire State Mines. It was a mine that mines zinc. So apparently this happened the 26th or 27th of June, approximately 7:08 in the morning. The hoist that brings men underground abruptly stopped in the shaft on its way down. Not sure what happened, but the contract miners were taken to hospitals, and they're looking for why this might have happened. And there's a entirely different mine code for equipment, and not necessarily in every mine application, but I know I've worked with some that specifically request different NEMA ratings, stuff like that, which some of those locations are just not places you'd want to go work. Okay, next news article, Global and Mail is actually shares I don't know if this is necessarily like an editorial that somebody wrote in, or if it's something that was shared by, it's a Shane wrote this. Let's see who this guy is. Oh no, he's a reporter, staff reporter. He's talking about the Ontario, Canada new elevator access law that went into effect, or that is on the books, or has been covered in the news. I guess I shouldn't say it's on the books. And noting that it seems to have broken down, citing some governmental or provincial loopholes where when laws are enacted or voted on or approved, don't necessarily have to go into effect. I don't know. I'm not a Canadian. My whole point with this is what it's designed to do is to make elevators more reliable, to hold elevator maintenance companies responsible and accountable for the work that they're doing. In my opinion, I think there needs to be a balance between regulation and the private sector of business in general. And you'd think that if there was this big of an issue with maintenance not being performed, or poor or shoddy, whatever, competition would kind of fill in that gap. I'm a strong believer that you need certified, competent, trained technicians to do the work, or mechanics to do the work on this equipment. And if there's a shortage of that, then that needs to be addressed, for one. Number two, they need to realize, or building owners need to realize, that they need to, financially, from a financial standpoint, it's not going to necessarily be the same price to provide that level of service, and they also have to be open to the fact that some equipment just is old and just doesn't work as well. So again, I don't know the situation in Canada. I really can't account or just share my own opinion based on what I read in this article. And the other point that I want to make is that governments so often will pass a law and not necessarily have the infrastructure to back it up. So that happens. I see that happening more often than not, and I don't think that's necessarily the intention of that. But if you don't have a system in place to fine elevator companies or whomever for not having their lifts working properly, it's one of those deals where how are you gonna do anything about it? So it's not an easy situation. It's unfortunate that this type of law is even being talked about in Ontario. So anyway, that's just my take on it. I'm sure there's a lot more to cover, a lot more to share on how it is, being addressed or talked about in Canada. And I'm sure I'm not getting the whole picture. Okay, SILive.com has a letter to the editor talking about the Staten Island ferry terminal and how this person was disappointed about the change. According to the article, an elevator will replace a former wheelchair ramp. Elevators frequently go out of order, but ramps never do. I don't know whether or not, or why you would replace the wheelchair ramp and only put an elevator in, unless there's some type of real estate that they want to use for something else. I think a backup is always a good idea, and hopefully the elevator runs for a really long time and doesn't have any kind of issues. That's my point. Because if it doesn't, you've got a whole other issue on your hands there, and trying to get people up and down when there's no ramp and the elevator's not working. So maybe there's a backup plan for that too. I don't know, but still not great. Next news article: watch your kids at stores. This is a repost, or this is a continuing story from the New York Post about a dad who horrifically remembers seeing his child's fingers found after, around an escalator after, at the time, a 3-year-old Utah girl was not being watched by her parents, and later found that she was involved in an escalator accident. So all I can say is, please watch your kids. Please, please, please. You have to. Trust me. I know it's not easy. I went through this with my youngest. we'd go into a store and literally he would take off. I'd have to tell my older two boys, say, listen, go after Quinn. Keep an eye on them. Not that it was their job, but they were faster than me. They were lower to the ground, and they could track him like the heat-seeking missiles that they were. Not that but it worked out. Quinn didn't lose any fingers. Didn't get any major accidents, but yeah, you don't know what's in stores. You just don't. And at the time when that would happen, we'd go into Dick's Sporting Goods, and literally that's what he just walked in. It was like he was in heaven. He just would tear it up, just running all over the place. Could not keep up with them. Literally could not keep up. What was that? That was a big boom. Anyway, that was kind of scary, yeah. I don't know if that was a transformer or what. Okay, next news article. Flooded elevators is a serious risk. Okay, I know R is Ottawa Citizen. Article talking about close call for 2 men in flooded elevator during heavy rain in Toronto. Water is scary, I'm telling you. As much as we need it, as much as we require it, Mother Nature is a beast that is unforgiving. Yesterday afternoon, 3:30 p.m. Chicago, all of our phones are going off, flash flood warning. Normally, you're like, whatever. We're not by a river. What are we going to see? Literally 20 minutes later of torrential rainfall, I got one of my guys come in and say, you got to come out and look at the shop. There's water coming up from the ground. Our dock is flooded. The dumpsters are almost like, being washed away. The water that was coming out of the ground was just seeping up through the cracks by where the roof drain goes straight into the ground. And all I can say is within 20 minutes, our shop just, had water all over and not difficult to clean up. Wasn't a big deal. But I was starting to think, I'm like, man, if one of these pipes breaks on our flat roof, the drain pipes, we're screwed. I mean, it could be a terrible torrential issue. So water is serious, and I think we need to look and make sure that elevators are not being parked at the basement or the bottom, first floor level, especially if there's parking or any other issues that are going on in that area. You're talking about 6 feet of water that filled into a elevator pit or bottom floor, and that's a lot of water. A lot of water. So I think we need to make sure that nobody ever drowns in an elevator, and that service is always in effect in terms of like elevator flood insurance, not insurance, but elevator flood service, so that elevators go to the top floor, park, and then need to be reset manually by an elevator mechanic. That's my recommendation. Okay, so yeah, very serious risk, and just know that it can happen anywhere. It can happen in Chicago, it can happen in New York. It has happened in New York. It can happen anywhere. It can be a broken pipe in a building for fire service that does that. Okay, next news article. Don't see this every day. LIBN.com has an article talking about Always Elevator, which is a full-service elevator company based in Hauppauge, acquired Fabian USA, the U.S. subsidiary of Grupo Excelsior. Jeez, I'm so sorry. I cannot pronounce anything. Anyway, but yeah, this is a Spanish company, and they became the company's first USA authorized dealer. Interesting. So not every day you see companies in the United States purchasing companies in other countries. So anyway, congratulations to Always for making that commitment. So kind of cool. Has anybody ever heard of a National Ride in an Elevator Day? Does this actually exist, or did this author just make this up? I can't read this, but anyway, the 10 best movie quotes to shout in a crowded elevator. I can't read them, so I'm not going to answer the million questions that are on this website. You wonder if these things actually work when they say, oh, just answer this one question, and then this one question. Anyway, but point is, I've never heard of actually an elevator, National Elevator Ride an Elevator Day. So maybe we can just make up our own days. Like a National Eat a Marshmallow Day, or National Think About Safety Day. That should be every day. Shouldn't be just one day. Anyway, last news article of the show. Chicago Elevator Association has their press release regarding the last Friday's August 3rd CEA annual golf outing. It was a great success. I was unable to attend, but those who did attend reported to me that they had a great time at Glen Eagles Country Club. They raised $2,000 for the Elevator Escalator Safety Foundation, which is awesome. And thanks to Glenn Duncan. And also Tom Persbala, Molly Cruz, Matt Dennett for their hard work in making the event a success. In addition, all the great sponsors that you can take a look at on the website. So thanks to all of those companies for doing that. And congratulations to the Chicago Elevator 2018 champions, which was PSI. And those were made up of Glenn Duncan, Tony Zamparelli, Brian Shealy, Dan Shealy, and their final score was a 57 or negative 13 under par as a team. So not too shabby. Not too shabby. Congratulations. And that's going to do it for this week's show, everybody. Be safe out there and make sure you're taking some time off. Use that vacation time up now instead of having to burn through it in December. And just be safe. So share the stories that you thought were worthy. Tell people where you found the show or where you found them, and just continue with what you do each and every day in the effort of making our industry a safer one. So take care. We will talk to you next Wednesday with a new show, and have a great rest of the week. Bye-bye.